Hi, I am back for the third video, and this time I wanted to talk a little bit about what happens, what you experience when you lose someone you love, particularly in a traumatic way, and just thinking about defining some of the terms you hear around loss and love and handling that. Grief, is well defined, expanded upon, is the experience of coping with loss in general. And we most often think of it when we think of the loss of a loved one, right? There are different levels of grief depending on the person or even the fur baby, or other things in your life that you have lost. And going along with that, when you lose someone, how you lose someone. If you have time to prepare for a loss and you know that someone is ill or you're helping them to go through it, sometimes their loss is in ways a relief for everyone involved. Not that it makes it any less painful, but that there's some understanding that what they were experiencing in life wasn't pleasant. And, it came to be that time where it was time for them to move on. When you lose someone unexpectedly, when you lose someone in a way that is avoidable or in a way that is particularly violent, it is considered trauma. And trauma is defined as, a response to a deeply distressing event that overwhelms a person, and overwhelms the ability to cope, emotionally, mentally, physically, even. And, I can attest to that. Something that both grief and trauma have in common is that typically and widely in society and through, mental health providers and so forth, there are types and there are stages of both grief and trauma recovery, as well as strategies for handling and how you cope with it and what you do in order to cope with it. But what can't be defined really is the individual experience of both grief and, more pointedly, trauma. It's, we also hear a lot about PTSD and we think more of, again, for veterans or for people in the armed forces or, in violent areas across the nation and, even close to home. Sometimes that does happen. It happens more often actually than I think, many people would like to admit. I've learned, a bit more about that, like I said previously, in some of the groups I've been involved with, because of, trying to find different people who've been through similar situations or, losing a child to homicide of some sort. It is a bit unique, but it has happened that I've been able to connect with people who have lost a child through vehicular homicide. And it is just so devastating across the board. But I'm running a little over because this is a huge topic, and I just want to share a few things before ending for this video, that there are some things that are widely known, especially by those who have experienced this type of loss, a traumatic loss of a child in particular, is that time becomes a very elusive concept. You always feel like it was just yesterday that your loved one was here with you. You always question yourself how you can be here now in the present when they're not. In groups I've been involved with, it spanned from 6 months to 10 years for when a loved one was killed. And everyone, concurs that it always feels like it was just yesterday. Always. That will never change. And there are a lot of other bits and pieces about going through this that will never change either. We'll talk more, and I hope that what I am sharing in some way, shape, or form helps others, or also helps others to understand better what someone they may be trying to comfort is going through, what they are trying to help support others in, whether it be in their work or personal lives. If it can help in some way, shape, or form, that's great. Thank you.